Peace. This is Watch for Watchwords Media back at y'all for another round. And Draymond Green recently made some comments regarding the New York Knicks' current and future status, whether the Knicks are for real or, as he alluded, are the New York Knicks just the new version of the Portland Trailblazers, amongst other teams that he mentioned that were pretty much like 1 year sensations, and then that's it. They faded away. So, to that, I will say that Draymond Green is completely wrong. And here's why. Let's take it from the top. Stability. When you look at teams like the Atlanta Hawks that he mentioned, for one, or you look at teams like the Portland Trailblazers, one thing they lacked was stability, right? The Atlanta Hawks had a very good coach in Nate McMillan, but they ended up getting rid of Nate McMillan and they ended up hiring another coach. And Nate McMillan had that team defensively sound. This team not only beat the Knicks, they beat the Philadelphia 76ers and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That team had a very good coach. They were very well. They ran their offense very well through Trae Young. But then what happened? Too much change all at one time. They ended up getting DeJounte Murray, which now clogged the backcourt. Now you have two guys that are ball dominant, that need the ball, that don't play very well off the ball. And that created a problem in their backcourt dynamic. Also, by changing the coach, now you're about to instill a whole new culture, and they were not in sync. They never fully played to the same capacity that they played that Eastern Conference Championship run, and it's largely due to the changes that they were making. The Portland Trailblazers, they had a little bit more stability and consistency with Terry Stotts, but then they felt like that kind of, hit ahead. So they, at that point, ended up going a different direction from Terry Stotts. They also didn't really build solid pieces around Dame Lillard. They didn't really have the type of players that complement Dame Lillard. They went and got Anthony Simons. Like, he is not going to help Dame Lillard on the court. Like, he'll help him with backup minutes, but backup minutes you could get with a veteran. So they spent a high draft pick on somebody that was going to be a backup, sort of a successor for Dame Lillard, instead of capitalizing on that window that they had. So again, there was mismanagement on both of those teams. The New York Knicks have been a staple of success and continuity. They have been continuous with their approach. Their approach has been, one, stability in the coaching staff. No more of this revolving window that the New York Knicks had. That was a huge part of the New York Knicks' problem in prior years. It was a revolving door of coaches. Everybody from Jeff Hornacek to my man Woody to you name it. It was a coaching carousel. Like Derek Fisher, Rambis, you name it. And I'm just freestyling. I'm coming off the head with it, but those were a number of guys that occupied that seat while the Knicks were in like their horrible years. So now, under this regime, credit to Leon Rose. Leon Rose, his model has been stability, which from the gate makes it completely different from the Atlanta Hawks situation and from the Portland Trailblazers situation. We'll get to that in a minute as far as building around. But the stability that has been instilled by having Tom Thibodeau there. We didn't jump the gun when Tom Thibodeau had one bad season. Tom Thibodeau led us to the playoffs that first year with RJ and Randall. Then we had a bad year the next year. But we didn't jump the gun like Atlanta did. Atlanta jumped the gun, and off of a bad year, they fired a very, very good coach, Nate McMillan, who had them defending very well. They were a defensive team, and they had a great offensive system revolving around Trae Young. It was pretty much reminiscent of the system the Houston Rockets developed around James Harden, where you had snipers on the four corners, and James Harden would cut through the middle, or at least on three spots. I'm sorry, James Harden would cut through the middle. He'll either penetrate, lay, penetrate, pop, penetrate, pass for the three, or penetrate and lob to Capella. So those four different dynamics of how to attack kept defenses on their feet. Like they didn't know what was coming, what was next, because it wasn't the same repetitive, redundant approach. Atlanta had that same approach. Trae Young was coming down, boom, 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 mixing. Then he'll come in. Once he gets past the defender, you don't know if he's going to stop and float. He's going to lob it to Capella, same Capella from Houston. Or you didn't know if he was going to dribble, come in, penetrate, pass. He had Bogdanovich out there. Or you didn't know if he was just going to come up and splash from outside. So they had a good thing going until they messed it up. Too much changes. You know, you have to fail before you succeed in sports. You must fail. Michael Jordan said that. He told Shaquille O'Neal before Shaquille O'Neal went on to win his first championship. When Michael Jordan and the Bulls swept the Orlando Magic, he went to Shaquille O'Neal and told him, listen, you have to go through heartbreak in order to become a champion. And Shaquille O'Neal went on to win, 5 championship rings after that? But you have to go through that trial and error. You know, you got to go through that. You love it so much. You love the game, and you want that success so much. That love, you're going to have to go through that hell, but you're going to come out right. So Atlanta had that kind of formula that they just pulled the plug on when it was going good. As far as Portland Trailblazers, they never really built good around Dame Lillard. They didn't work on their front court. They kept adding pieces to the backcourt. Like, why are you drafting more backcourt players when you have a guy in Nurkic who was hurt a lot, and you're not adding wing players, wing guys that can shoot, or big men that can help clog the middle. Like they could defend or rebound or any defensive styles. They weren't going for those type of players. So they weren't building the right type of team around him. But the Knicks, again, to Leon Rose's credit, is building a team with an identity. That's the difference. There was no identity in Portland. There's no identity in Atlanta. This team has an identity, the type of players that they are developing. They're going for the Mitchell Robinsons, the OG Ananobis, the Josh Harts. These guys, the DiVincenzo, these guys hustle, defend. Primarily speaking about Mitch Robinson and OG Anunoby. Josh Hart hustles. Like these are the type of players that are called Tibbs players. So we have Tibbs in place and Tibbs players that they are going after and signing and acquiring. And they are the ones that Tibbs puts his full confidence in. In return, they give Tibbs 120%, and they don't get in the way of Jalen Brunson scoring. So that's important too, So the only thing the Knicks need to get is at least one more closer, right? Because when teams start to double team Jalen Brunson, then he needs that one person he could kick it out to, and that person. But we're not stacking and looking for we're not doing what Phoenix is doing, which is trying to build offense on top of offense. No, that was a terrible front office move. Why would you bring a Bradley Beal in when you just got rid of Chris Paul and your point guards campaign? So why would you bring in another shooter? Now you're taking Devin Booker out of his position of shooting guard, making him a point guard, which he's not. He wasn't a point guard in college. It's not like he had a background of being a point guard. He wasn't a point guard in college when he was playing with Karl Towns. He was a shooting guard. So why are you taking him out of his element? See, failed front offices have been the reason for these failed products on the court. But the New York Knicks have vision. They have a type of team that they're building, which is reminiscent of that hardcore 94 New York Knicks, which is hard-nosed, defensive, hustle, and the motto that hard work beats talent that hardly works. Because there are teams that are more talented than the New York Knicks. You know, you look at first round, Philly, Embiid and Maxey. They got their 1-2 right there. Who did Brunson have? You had Brunson. Who was his number 2? Josh Hart? No offense to Josh Hart. We all love Josh Hart, but we know as far as talent-wise, you know, Maxey and Embiid on paper looks better than Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. But what? Hard work beats talent that hardly works. We worked hard. And not saying that they didn't work hard, because Philly, you know, but there was times that we wanted it more. The 50-50 balls. You would see like 3 Philadelphia jerseys in the paint, and Josh Hart, boom, swoops from the paint or from the key all the way to the paint to grab a rebound. We wanted it more. So that's why we won. And that was our method of success. And that's why this whole Knicks situation is completely different from the from Atlanta or Portland or any of these other teams, because we have a blueprint in place by Leon Rose, which is get hard-nosed, defensive, guys that give 120% every night, and do not impede on Jalen Brunson's abilities. And that's why we're getting guys that complement Brunson, like an OG Anunoby, that just needs to stand in that corner, catch the ball, and hit the 3. We're getting guys like that. We're getting guys like DiVincenzo that remember a year ago. That's why you gotta stay in tune with Waz from Waz Words Media. Just a year ago, before Dante DiVincenzo even played a single game, the receipts are there. Go on my page. I said it last summer. We're going to be knowing him as Dante DiVincenzo, because I told you he was going to light the league on fire. And what's happening now? So stay in tune with your brother. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Let's go Knicks tonight. Let's go for this win. Peace.